it stops, no one knows. We're going headed into the unknown. Na, 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 na.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Criminality. Or if this is your first time here, welcome to Criminality. I see so many of you guys in chat already, so that's so nice. Thank you guys for being here. We have two cases that we're going to be discussing today. The case against Karen Reed had a hearing this morning. It lasted about 5 minutes. It was just a scheduling conference hearing, scheduling status hearing. Wasn't anything that was too big of a deal, but there was some commentary that was done after that I think is important to discuss. And so we'll watch that, and then we'll talk about what happened after the hearing. And then we have the jury selection that has begun in the Ashley Benefield case. If you guys weren't here yesterday, we did an entire deep dive into the Ashley Benefield case. So if you're not familiar with it, please go watch it. You can even do it on 2x speed. I won't be offended. I watch almost everything on 2x speed. So let me say hi to everybody in chat, and we'll get started, and we'll decide if we want to start with Karen Reed or Ashley Benefield. So what's up, Ramblin'? Hi, Austin. Hi, Heavy Metal Rehab. What's up, Jen Rand? Robot Biologist. Hi, Joanna. It was awesome. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. There's a lot to the case that I don't think people realize because it's not overly publicized. But there's so much that I wasn't even able to get into. So we'll see, we'll see what we can talk about today. What's up, Shannon's Kappa? Hi, Water Loving Dog. Hey, with all. Let me see who else is up here. Hi, Christy. Oh, it's 90 degrees here today. It's fucking miserable. I'll preface the whole live with it's fucking miserable here right now. Like I should be by water, and I'm not. And I'll tell you why in just a second. So, hi, Mandy. What's up, Phoenix? It was a psyop. But you're live? No, it was not. It was good. It was good, and you should do it again. Yes, like Joanna said, do it again. Hi, Snappy Dragon. Hi, Shmita. Are you sending out? You're sending out the goose signal already? Well, shit, I haven't even started yet. We like Goosey anyway, so she can just come and hang out. Where's my link? I want to talk about this. Which one, Fiend? Do you want to talk about both? Do you want to talk about Karen Reed or Ashley Benefield? I'll get you a link if you want to. Yeah, I know. I feel really bad for the ones that don't have any air conditioning. It's just fucking hot. Hey, Rabbit. Hi, Shaz. Hey, Tammy. It's 106 where you are. Oh, ew. Ugh. Ridiculous. That's freezing. Oh, God. It's not freezing. We get these little mini heat waves. The problem is like summer started so late here that I know like Halloween and Thanksgiving, it's going to be in the 80s. So it's like the seasons are completely shifting, which I don't really like because the kids' school is also shifting, but in the opposite direction. So, they get out sooner, but they go back to school sooner. And so I'm like, okay, well, now summer is not even going to be summer. I feel like we're going to be like in Australia and have Christmas in the summertime. Karen Reed, but no, I don't know enough about the new stuff. Oh, well, it's not too much new stuff. But you can come talk anytime you want to. 105 here. Yeah, it's 90. I'm SoCal, but I'm just because I'm closer to the beach. I'm sure like by my brother's, which is like a half hour more inland, I'm sure it's hotter than shit there. But he has a swimming pool, so good for him. Mr. Fancy Pants over there. Your AC died? Also had to have surgery on my pup. Aw, so we stayed in a hotel. And you tore your ACL. Now you're going to have surgery. That's dumb. 80s in West Virginia. Yeah. No, I'm fine. I'm fine in the 80s, but once it gets into the 90s, I'm just like, oh, this is fucking miserable. But it is what it is. Mr. Fancy Pants. I know he's all Mr. Fancy. That's what I call him. I'm like, ooh, look at you, Mr. Fancy Pants, with your big old pool. I just how. I feel like a deflated balloon after the Karen Reed hearing. Had to throw away my popcorn and find something else to do. So when I walked away yesterday from the live, my plan was to actually go live for the hearing, and then I started talking to a few attorneys and looking at some things on Twitter, and realized that nothing was going to happen. So I think I wasn't as disappointed because I didn't go into it with the expectation that there was going to be that I was even going to have anything. So they scheduled it as a status hearing, but it really was just like it was a scheduling hearing, and that's what they did. I did get some sun last week. I really did nothing on YouTube, which sucks because as you guys know with YouTube, it's like there's like a whole algorithm thing so make sure you guys hit the like button because I need help again to get my stuff back in the algorithm, because you cannot take time off of YouTube. It's the dumbest shit because it screws with all your algorithm stuff. And then obviously there's the issues when it comes to, like, if you don't put a video out, there's no ad revenue on a video that you don't put out. And then this is just going totally off topic, but then I had a couple videos that I played other people's stuff and it had music in it, so then they got demonetized, or the videos got demonetized, and I'm just like, you know what? That's what I was like. I'm taking the fucking week off and I'm going to the beach. We went to the beach and we went to my sister-in-law's house and went swimming for a couple of days, and I just hung out with the kids. I was like, and I read a whole bunch of books. So, hi Cam, what's up? I unindicted. I'm behind on Karen Reed, so it's good to get these updates. Yeah, you're at, and it's not a huge update, but at least it's something. Man, the algorithm ain't gonna like you. No, they don't like that. It was tough. Like when I was, for anybody who's been on the channel for a long time, I started the channel when I had gone back to college to finish getting my bachelor's degree, and so I was stacked. I mean, I stacked my classes, so I was just, everything I did had to do with schoolwork. So I'd go live like once a week, if even. And so the algorithm never picked up in the algorithm until I graduated and I was able to start doing more. But man, YouTube is just kind of an asshole like that. It's just like, nope, you didn't go live, so we're shoving your ass down to the bottom. And then you don't get notifications again. And it's just, I don't know. It's just how it works. Hey, Anja. I would be the worst at YouTube. Yeah, well, that's why you see, like, there's people who literally just do, like, go live every day, like, no matter what it is, and I'm just like, I can't. I got 3 kids that I'd much rather spend time with than try to figure out how to make sure my algorithm stays okay. And I love you guys, but my kids are my everything. So I'm like, we will make the algorithm love you, Fiend. Once it's like, ooh, Fiend, we like you. We're going to put you in all the stuff. Yeah, it's like a super needy girlfriend. It really is. Hi, Travis. So that would steal all my emotional spoons. So I'll take it. So because I knew I didn't have to really worry about like being prepared for a hearing today with Karen Reed, after I realized that it's not going to be too big of a deal, I watched the show, and I want to know if you guys have watched it. So it's called Presumed Innocent. If you guys know, there's a book on it. And then there's the movie with Harrison Ford, and the movie kind of goes along with the book. And now there's the show with Jake Gyllenhaal on, I think it's on Apple TV. And so has anybody watched the show? So it's only like 8 episodes on Apple TV with, like I said, with Jake Gyllenhaal. And so 7 of the episodes have come out. The 8th episode, which is the finale, comes out this week. And most online stuff says that it's going to have like a totally different ending than the book and the movie. You've watched it? Okay. Haven't watched that? You should watch it. The algorithm makes me think of the docu, The Social Dilemma. It really is. It's so stupid. Dying to make you engage. It's like, oh, here's your punishment. I shared it in a couple of Ashley Benefield groups, but both are small. This is why I said, like, not a lot of people even know about the Ashley Benefield case because there's no hype around it. There's not a ton of hype online about the case. And there's not even a lot of updates on the case. So, like, it took me a while to, like, dig and get everything I wanted for that presentation. Okay, I'm on 7. Oh, you're on 7. Okay, see? So I stayed up last night. I stayed up last night and just binged the shit out of that show. Because I was like, because somebody online had mentioned it, and I don't know where the hell I was, and they were like, ooh, that's supposed to have a totally different ending. And I I'm a fan of Jake Gyllenhaal. He's a good actor. But I was like, it's going to be the same. Like, they're going to do the same thing. The book had the same ending. The movie had the same ending. It's like the same killer. Like, what am I watching for? And then somebody was like, no, it's going to be totally different. And I was like, so as soon as I started watching, I binged the whole fucking thing. So I stayed up until like 4 a.m. watching fucking Presumed Innocent. So it's the best way to watch shows. I agree. But now I have one episode that doesn't come out until the 26th. And now I have to wait to find out if it ends up the same way. And if it does, I swear, I'm going to be so pissed. Okay, let me see. Scott Turow. I don't know who that is. Who's Scott Turow? It's the David Kelly one with Jake Gyllenhaal. I don't know if we're talking about the same thing. It's a great show. Well, let's hype it. I'm excited to hear about it. Okay, which one? Oh, the author. Dumb, unindicted. Dumb, yes. Yeah, Presumed Innocent. Same one. Yes, bingeable. Absolutely. I was sucked in, and that's how I spent my night. So, watched 7 episodes. It's on Apple TV. So, and I don't have Apple TV, but I signed up for it's like 3 months free. And I was like, I could totally finish 7 episodes in 3 months. So I'm good. Or 8 episodes. You're not in love with the show, but you watch it? I think it's so good. So for anybody who doesn't know the premise of the show, it's essentially that there is a prosecutor who is having an affair with a colleague, and she ends up murdered, and then they think that he did it, and so he ends up arrested. He's adamant that he is innocent, and he goes to trial. So, but there's a lot of twists and turns on people who may have done it, and whether you really think he's innocent, because then he's having like dreams about doing it. And I will say the show is raunchier than the movie. And probably because it's obviously newer, so they can do more stuff with it. But you didn't listen to it. I did, yeah, done. But I didn't read last night, so there you go. All right. Have you watched? I did. I watched Your Honor. I liked the first season. I did not like the second season. So first season could have been a one and done, and I think it would have been amazing. He wrote 1L, his first book, which we all read before going to law school. I don't think I ever read that. Hi, BGOG. I like it super much, but the end may piss me off. Right. It might. Especially if it, I watched Justified, and then what's the new one that he did? The Justified Primeval, I think it is. I watched that too. Yeah, which was stupid, C-Dub. They should not have done that. It was just the second season was dumb. It was not worth it. Okay, anyway, so telling you guys why I was like, I'm not going to go cover the hearing live because it's not going to be groundbreaking, and so here we are. And then I was keeping updates on the Black Swan trial, trying to like see, okay, what's happening. So I watched the hearing, which I'm going to watch with you guys again, and then everything just proceeded. So I kept trying to keep an eye on if we were going to have like if they were going to be able to finish getting the jury selected today, and there's like no updates. It's like the dumbest thing. So I don't know if they have a jury. I don't know if we're getting opening statements in the morning. I don't know. Yeah, you might just finish it just to get it done and then be done. So my husband and I just finished watching Peaky Blinders. And then I think we're going to start season 2 of House of Dragon next. What's up, Hybrid? So there's my show reviews for you. This is silly. I was like, I have been reading so many books in the last like 6 months. I was like, I should like start like a book. We were talking about it like in the chats too. Like we should start like a book club, or like do like a channel just on like book and TV shit, or just do some shows. Maybe we'll just do like members only. Like here's what we're doing with books and shows this week. Hi, Princess. Where's Jess? She safe? She good? Your coverage of Black Swan was great and so helpful. That was my hope. It was either to either just give people the refresher on if they didn't know it at all, or if they needed just the refresher on, it's been such a freaking long time and nobody really covers it. So, are you all cold? I don't want you if you're cold. My daughter.
You're not taking me?
No. Don't forget your paper, though. Just tell them they need to fill out the bottom. That's all they need to do.
When do I tell them this?
Right when you go there. Hand it to them first thing. I can't. Oh, yes. Yeah, so you want a book chat? We can do like a book chat. Should we do like a criminality book chat? Like just but I don't always just read crime books. So I don't know if that matters, or if you guys just are like, whatever, let's just do it. Tara! Francis is all, thanks. Jess, get in here. We need to know that you're all right. Oh, you love House of Dragon. So I love season 1, but it's a complicated show. Like, let's be real. Game of Thrones and House of Dragon is complicated. And so if you do like when you actually watch the season as it comes out and then you go back and like have to watch the next season, I'm telling you, like every time I'm like, okay, let me pull up the family tree. Like I gotta, like, I like to research stuff and I gotta know all the things. I'm like, okay, so this one's related to this one and this is how they're connected. And then this is how they are, during, this stuff. And it's like, I gotta have it all tied together in my brain. I probably just need to do like a Prezi on Game of Thrones. And be like, okay, here's everybody, and how it feeds into House of Dragon. Yeah, definitely need a chart. I'm sure somebody's done that. I see, like, when I pull it up, like, there's little family trees, but that's, I want like all of it. What did Frank do? Can you rate them in rubber ducks? Okay, I will say that I think like Game of Thrones is like the Donald Trump duck with the thingy on his ear. That's how I feel about Game of Thrones. With the little thing on its ear. Rubber ducky. Hold on. I think I still have that like right here. This one. Hold on. Let's see. Fucking ducks, man. That's never gonna. I need to get a rubber duck. I'm gonna make it a rubber duck emoji. That's what I'm gonna do. For members. Here's your rubber duck. This one. Jessica! Yay! He's not like on your account, right? I'm totally joking. Tracy, don't quit. Don't quit. Don't go. Don't go. You can have something else going on while watching HOTD, that's for sure. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I got you. Don't quit. I'm here. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Isn't this the best? This is the best duck ever. That one, and then I want this one, and I want, hold on, let me pull this one up too. This one. I want the one right here. The one that says, say hello to my little friend. He's holding a little tiny rubber duck. Those are my 2 favorite ducks ever. I never thought that I'd have like I never thought that I'd have like a fascination with fucking rubber ducks, and now I'm like, oh yeah, they're my favorite. Maybe a sleuthy duck. Well, I don't know, because then it would be a sleuthy goose. We need a rubber goose. Yeah, we do. We need like a secret verification code. Francis, oh, that's none of your business. Yeah, say hello to my little friend, my little tiny rubber duck. It's so dumb. It's some of the silly things that just, they make me laugh. I like the Donald Duck hands. I was worried when I said it makes me. I think they're hilarious. Oh my gosh, she would no. She if it was a sleuthy duck, it would have to like wear like spreadsheets. It would have to have like little spreadsheet tabs all over it. Anyway, so this is one of my favorite ducks, and so I rate Game of Thrones in as Donald Trump with the little thingy on his ear. Hi, Truth Matters. Hi, Sleuths Investigates. Yes, it's a Trump duck. It was obtained in some weird exchange. Oh God, I don't even want to know. Jess has a Where's Waldo duck. Thank goodness they saved him that night, but he had a triple bypass open heart. But hey, we finished that episode of Game of Thrones. Oh my gosh, Snappy Dragon. Oh, that I missed your other comment, I think. Oh, I think it's up here. I don't even know if I can get back to it here. My husband was active. Oh, your husband was actively having a heart attack and you had to watch Game of Thrones before we went to the hospital? What? Snappy Dragon? No. I would have been the same. Then like, just give me 5 minutes. The episode's almost over. It's almost done. Hi, Susie Q. Yes, rest in peace. Rest in peace. I read like his daughter's post. I've looked at all the articles like of his wife, and they just seem like such an awesome family. It makes me very sad. There's another Trump one in that other picture. Did I close it? Maybe I closed it. I did. There's a Trump one in this one too, but it's not as good as Let's Say Hello to My Little Friend. Here he is. There's the Trump one. I didn't even know these, I knew rubber ducks existed. I just didn't know that they had gone full on, political. Is there a, I don't want to get into politics, but now I have to know, is there a Biden rubber duck? Hold on, I gotta look. Oh my God, there's all kinds of them. A lot of the presidents have ducks. There's a whole rubber duck series on presidents. Hold on. Oh gosh, it's so bad. I don't even know what I'm doing. I shouldn't even get too far into this, but there you go. There's a Biden one. Oh, look at his mouth. All right. I can't go back to the ducks. I did that for like 45 minutes on the last Karen Reed live, and I got sucked in. My passion for victims. So T, want to make you a piece of artwork. What's your favorite animated character? Ooh, gosh, that's tough. That's tough. My favorite animated character? I'm stuck between Lady from Lady and the Tramp or Dopey from the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That's where I would have. I don't know. That's a tough one. Is there a John? There's not a Judge. We need a. Oh, that's what we need. We need a whole judge. All the judges as rubber ducks. Is there like a Judge Bev? Probably not, right? Oh, you guys are good. You guys are so silly. Can it be found? You could get the rubber duckies from the presidential debate. So stupid. Oh shit! All right, I gotta stop. I'll keep doing that all day. Yeah, you stumped me. Foghorn Leghorn. Is Game of Thrones a game and a movie series? Well, they do have games of Game of Thrones now, but Game of Thrones is the TV series. Have you never seen Game of Thrones, Travis? I'm gonna have to see about making some judge ducks. I'm getting a gold duck and making it take a bath with Bev Duck just throwing the document. Mine would be easy. Mine's Stitch. I have a whole Stitch bedroom. Oh yeah, Newsom. Why did I say Newsom? They see got me in politics now. Oh my gosh. It looks like Bush. It does. Okay, hey Kraken. All right, let's get out of the ducks. See, this is what happens. I get in here and then it just ends up being a nightmare. Hi, Judge Jessica. Yeah, that's what I said. What's happening with thank you, Truth Matters. I need somebody to get me on track. Let's get to it. Okay. So, Karen Reed. I was surprised to see the retrial scheduled, so the official word is they're not going to look for the potential acquittal. They're only looking for the first and third charges to be dismissed. So they essentially, I don't know what Lolly's doing. It just doesn't make sense to me. Just go and charge her on the second one. It's the one that you know that you had the majority of jurors. Which reminds me, I do need to pull up a screenshot really quick. So forgive me. I got distracted with fucking ducking ducks. Damn ducks. I need to grab the screenshot real quick. Okay, so we have an attorney that I wasn't overly familiar with, and I don't know. I was going to ask any of you guys who've been hardcore read since day one, if you guys know if he's ever been around on the case before. I know why he's here now, but I didn't know if anybody had seen him attached to the case prior. Okay, let's see. So this is the Karen Reed hearing from this morning.
Good afternoon, Mr. Unetti. Good afternoon, Ms. Reed. All right, so the case is scheduled today for trial.
Can you guys hear it? So let's double check that first. Stuck in the duck muck. That's what happened. I did get stuck in the duck muck. She's not yet. They're not in their other courtroom. Yeah. She just randomly picks courtrooms. Oh, Tammy, that's so nice. Thank you. My goodness. She's like, I'm going to fix that freaking algorithm. Duck that algorithm. Loud and clear. You got it. Okay.
And what I'd like to do is to get 3 dates.
I have it on a fast speed because, like I said, I typically watch everything on YouTube. So we're going to start that over.
Good afternoon, Mr. Weinberg.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I do this, it goes to slow motion. It's like, good afternoon.
For Karen Reed. Good afternoon, Mr. Unetti. Good afternoon, Ms. Reed. All right, so the case is scheduled today for trial assignment, and what I'd like to do is to get 3 dates. I'm aware that a motion to dismiss has been filed. I'd like to get a quick date on that, and I'm glad you're here, Mr. Weinberg, because I'd like it to be with your schedule. Then we need a trial date, and we need a final trial conference. So I was thinking on the motion to dismiss, can we do it a week from Friday? It would be for oral argument only.
From the defendant's perspective, yes, Your Honor.
All right, I think that's August 2nd. Mr. Clerk.
I'm going to be out of state. I return on August 3rd.
Okay. August 9th? Are you available? 2 o'clock. Are you available, Mr. Weinberg, on August 9th? Mr. Lally, is the Commonwealth available on August 9th?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so that's for oral argument only. Okay?
2 p.m.
2 p.m. All right, so given the schedule, and I assume whatever I end up doing on the motion to dismiss will be appealed, in an effort to make sure we have plenty of time.
So she sets the motion to dismiss on the count 1 and count 3 for August 9th. So that's when we'll hear like the oral arguments. That's the one that we actually need to like be here to like watch in its entirety. And this other attorney that's there, Mr. Weinberg, is going to be helping argue the motion to dismiss. Like that's kind of his forte. So I was doing some research on him, and let me see. Hold on.
I would like to schedule the jury trial, plenty of time. End up doing on the motion.
Hold on.
2 p.m. Is the Commonwealth available on August 9th?
Right
Yes,
here.
ma'am.
Yeah.
All right, so that's for oral argument only, okay?
2 p.m.
2 p.m. All right, so given the schedule, and I assume whatever I end up doing on the motion to dismiss will be appealed.
So she's saying like no matter what I end up doing, I assume it's going to be appealed. And so I wanted to talk about that for a hot minute because I did see some stuff throughout Facebook and Twitter where people were kind of confused, thinking that that means she's automatically going to deny it because they think that only the defense can appeal. So I wanted to talk about that for a hot minute because the prosecution can appeal on pretrial hearings. So if she does allow for those 2 charges to be dismissed and say, hey, no, you cannot retry her on those 2, then the Commonwealth can actually go to the appellate court and say, no, this is why, and this is our case law, so on and so forth, on why we think that she should be able to be recharged on those 2 counts. So I kind of wanted to just make sure that that was clear, because I think people kind of get confused because it's like it's an appeal thing, and so they're like, only the defense does the appeals, but that's not necessarily true. Now, obviously, in trial, if she's found guilty, or if any defendant is found guilty, then the defense does the appeals. And if during the trial a defendant is found not guilty, then the state cannot appeal. They cannot go and say, hey, we think there should be an appeal, and she should be found guilty. They don't get to do that. That's part of the whole double jeopardy of our Constitution. You can't do it. So all these pretrial hearings, they can appeal anything that she does. Either side can. So the hope is still alive. Yeah, absolutely. The hope is still alive. She's going to hear oral arguments on August 9th. And so this attorney, Martin Weinberg, I was taking a look at him. So I'll pull that over real quick before I continue. Because like I said, it's really just scheduling. So that just some of the other stuff around it is more interesting. I have to cough. Hold on. He had to be, oh, you're saying he had to be brought on because they'll likely be witnesses. Potentially, yeah. It's almost kind of like a Hennessy from Delphi. So, but I mean, this guy's got a lot of accolades. So he's nationally one of the best criminal and white collar defense lawyers. Can you guys see that? Let me pull up, let me make it bigger. So Martin Weinberg, he's nationally prominent criminal defense attorney, considered by many with the legal community to rank among the nation's best criminal and white-collar defense lawyers and best litigators and appellate advocates. So I do think that it's important that he's there because of the fact that he can argue against the Commonwealth and show how it would end up on their side if they have to appeal. Does that make sense? So during the motion to dismiss, he'll be able to argue almost like a futuristic, like if you do these things, kind of like we saw with like Osbrook and Delphi, Hennessy and Delphi, like if you make these decisions, then you force us to do this, this, and this is why we would win. So don't make the decision because then we don't have to do any of those things. So yeah, he's a big gun. And he's an older gentleman, been around for a long time. He was voted one of the top super lawyers for 20 straight years. He was included in the best lawyers for 37 consecutive years, starting in 1987. And so I'm like, they definitely got a big gun. I don't think there'll be witnesses. I don't think they'll have to be witnesses, but it's just literally going to be oral arguments. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. He kicks ass 2 years. He kicked ass 2 years ago in a federal case on a verdict form. Correct. So I think I'm with you, Travis. I don't think that they'll testify. I don't think they're even going to have a bunch of testimony. They're just going into to do oral arguments, and I think that he's going to literally just show her hand, or show their hand, like, hey, if you make these choices, we're going to make these choices, and this is how it's going to go. Yeah, he's a big gun. They're bringing in the big gun for the motion to dismiss. So let me play the rest of the scheduling just quickly, because it goes quickly anyway.
In an effort to make sure we have plenty of time.
So because she knows that no matter what decision she makes, somebody's going to appeal it, she's putting some distance between the motion to dismiss and the actual retrial of Karen Reed. It's almost like don't count on that being the trial date. And that's what I'm just going to put that out there. Don't count on that being the trial date, because there's a lot of steps that are going to have to happen to get there. But this is just to get it back on the books, because as you guys know, there's a time frame that has to happen with each step. So there's only a certain amount of time that they can wait to do this, like a placeholder. Yep.
I would like to schedule the jury trial on January 27th. Is the Commonwealth available?
That's fine, Your
Mr. Eddie?
That should be fine.
Okay, so January 27th for trial. And let's do the final trial conference the week of the 13th. The reason we
That's what I said.
Do you have the calendar, Mr. Clerk, or any of those days?
Yeah, does that mean, just not the 9th or the 16th, but all of the days are open?
Your Honor, the only caveat, I don't have anything on the 27th. I'm clear for that day, but for the fact that I have a Superior Court trial scheduled to begin in Essex County on January 13th. There are multiple.
How long do you expect it to
That's what I was getting to. That could take longer than 2 weeks.
In fairness, Auntie Bev, this is a tiny ass courtroom, and Allen County is not. It's a big vaulted ceiling courtroom. So you never know. Depends on size matters.
I'm happy to have this case take priority over that, but that's.
No, we'll hold it for you day to day if need be, and I can contact the Essex Superior Court judge once you know who he or she is.
Yeah, that's not ideal. In terms of preparing for trial, I can't do 2 or 3 week Superior Court trial and then jump into this case. I can't do that.
Okay? So what are you telling me? You just said you're willing to make this a priority, so we'll stick with the 27th?
Well, okay. Well, why don't we do this? Let's put it on for the 27th. Let me see if I can make peace in Essex County. And then on the next date, when we come back to oral argument, if I can readdress the court on that issue.
Okay, I'm happy to talk to Judge McCarthy, who's the garage up there, about this.
It's okay, that's great.
All right, so let's set it for the 27th. And why don't we do the 14th for final trial conference?
The 14th at 9 or 2?
2.
2.
If it
Like
turns
the
out that
tip-off
we
hearing.
have, in excess of 35 or whatever motions and eliminate still at that point, let us know and we will try and get the whole day. Okay? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All eyes to the board, please.
So super simple oral arguments for the motion to dismiss on August 9th. All all pretrial finalization of everything. Last pretrial hearing. Obviously, they can set up other hearings throughout, but see, it's so ironic because like I say this about Judge Gohl all the time, and people don't like Bev either. There's like a very big anti-Bev movement, but I still think she's better than Gohl, but that's my opinion. You see, like she sets the trial date, and then she's like, okay, so right before that, we're gonna have the hearing to make sure that we have everything that we need to go to trial and everything is good. So we're in July right now. So she sets the trial for the 27th, and then she's like, all right, let's set the final hearing of all pretrial motions to make sure everything is cleared up on the 14th. This was a huge complaint that I have on Gohl, is she just doesn't, she's just like, I don't know what to tell you, like we have this too, and you guys are just going to show up and it's going to be whatever it is. Like that's just how it goes. That's how we do it in the state of Indiana. And it's like, well, that's not how anybody does it. No other judge ever does that. They literally set the hearings to make sure that everything is secure and set for trial. And it's the judge's responsibility to do that. And she's like, well, nobody said anything to me about it, so I didn't have to do it. I'm like, oh, it frustrates me. It frustrates me a lot when it comes to the Delphi case. It is what it is. It's just how I do it. So we have January 14th and January 27th. Those are movable. Those are movable pieces. So the biggest one that we need to focus on next is the one coming up in August. And then on the way out, I was trying to find, there's like 4 news people who typically follow the attorneys to their vehicle, and Karen, and they get like a statement before the attorneys get in the vehicle. And so I was trying to find a full clip from a news source. And this is interesting. I don't know if I kept the other one up, but I could probably pull it up. But they're all spliced. They're all spliced to just give the one little piece of what he says. So the audio isn't as good, but on Tom's CPU, he goes out there all the time. He's covers it all, and he's walking around, but he's walking around with like his cell phone. So his audio isn't always the best. But at least we get a full conversation from Yannetti. And so I thought that was important. So I'm going to play that. And this is from Tom CPU's channel. Like I said, he's out there all the time. Oral arguments with Francis. You can get me in trouble. I can't believe they're going to try her again. It's stupid. The bottom line for me is it's stupid to charge her with the other 2 counts. That's where I'm at. And it's the simplest way. It's stupid. Okay. So bear with the audio. Can you not? Why do I not hear it now?
No.
There we go.
Watch out for Janet. Watch out for Janet. Don't let her trip over there.
Okay.
Nice seeing you.
That's my favorite.
You're nice.
As long as Phoenix agrees that it's
Appeal to the highest court.
David, how many jurors have you had?
We got
David.
let the reads, at least 5. At least 5.
Let them through. David, what did you say the first?
The next one, I'm sorry. Your argument, I think you were thinking about your motion, this argument. You said it was a strong argument. Very strong argument.
Hold on, please. I'm going to see if I have this on fast because it's on normal. It's even worse.
Yeah, it's a constitutional argument. I mean, double jeopardy doesn't get any more serious than that. And I think it's very clear.
And why do you think the charges will be the same as the district attorney?
Well, I think that the DA's office has discretion to drop the charges as we think that they should, but they may be forced to drop either by this judge or by another judge. We ready?
And being back here today, David, rent that way. David, being back here today, it's sort of the same, except all the people are now in front of the courthouse. I mean, you saw a lot of supporters.
I've never heard such a thunderous ovation as we got today. I mean, that was like, the Patriots were introduced at the Super Bowl. It was that loud.
Dude, I don't know if somebody asked you this. I'm sorry. Is Alan going to be back for trial 2 if it does
Yes,
happen?
the team will reconstitute.
With Mr. Weinberg as well?
Well, Mr. Weinberg has been brought on to argue the motion to dismiss. No decisions have been made beyond that.
And David, do you expect any other jurors to come forward? I think there are 5 now that you have papered.
That's That's tough to say. I mean, I think that, you know, we're happy with the jurors that have come forward out of good conscience. I think it speaks volumes that nobody has come forward to contradict what they've said, which is she received 2 not guilty verdicts and they just weren't reported. So we're looking forward to litigating this motion. I suppose anything's possible. We're going to take this a step at a time. We're on for oral argument on the night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Eddie.
Okay, so they ask him, like, do you think that like the Commonwealth is going to continue to go forward with all 3 charges? And he's essentially says, I hope not. Like, they have the discretion to drop the other 2 charges at any time, which we believe they should. And they do ask him if Jackson is going to be back on the case, and he says yes, it'll be the same team. That Jackson will be back for the second trial in January. I did hear on another channel, so I cannot validate this, that I heard that Jackson was on Zoom. I was surprised to hear that, simply because she normally greets everybody, even if they're on Zoom, and she didn't. You know, she does the whole, like, good morning, Mr. Jackson, good morning, Mr. Yannetti. You know, she does the whole thing, and I did not hear her address Alan at all. But I did, like I said, on another channel, I did hear that he was on Zoom. So potentially he was there for the hearing today or not. I don't know if I didn't think he was planning on coming to this one, because even at the end of trial, they said, you know, that he was going to be back in California, but I don't know, maybe he was. Anyway, so the clip that the news, like 4 different news places that are walking around with him, they said they only clipped the part where he talks about the jury. And so that part's like really clear out there on the news stations about, they ask him, do you think that any other jurors are going to come forward? Right now you have 5. And he says, I don't know. I'm thankful for the ones that had the conscience to come forward and do the right thing. He said, but it speaks volumes that, like, essentially, if the other ones don't come forward at all, then they're not disagreeing with the narrative that these 5 have said. Nobody's coming forward and saying, that's bullshit. We did not, and I was totally guilty on count 1. Nobody's come forward to say the opposite. Yeah, and the Commonwealth has not put any motions forward to say that they have been contacted by any jurors to say anything different. So that's the part that you'll see clipped on a lot of different news stations. But I was like, I want to hear the whole thing, because he talks about Alan Jackson being back, which I thought was important, and he talks about Weinberg and why he's there. And he said he's there to argue the oral, to do the oral argument on the motion to dismiss. So what about that Boston newspaper, the Boston newspaper article? What Boston newspaper article? I didn't see an article. Joanna, yeah, so I have that, so I'm going to pull that up next. I didn't look at any articles. I was just looking at the news stations, like the videos. But maybe they do have it in an article, and I missed it. Okay, let me see. Okay, so then on Twitter, there was Christina Rex, who's a reporter, said that she just spoke with a deliberating juror from the Karen Reed trial, and this juror independently confirmed to her that the jury was unanimous for acquittal on charges 1 and 3, and second-degree murder and leaving the scene, which was 1 and 3. Hi, Inspector Gadget. So she said the juror confirmed that the jury was hung on the lesser included charges under charge 2. So they were hung up on manslaughter. I'm going to see if I can bring that back up again. Give me a second, let me find it. This one's 2. And just for make sure that I stated again. I stated normally when I show this is the one before it was corrected. So we don't have the one that they actually had in there. but this is the manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle. And the lesser charges were involuntary manslaughter and motor vehicle homicide. So she said that the jury was hung on the lesser included charges under charge 2 manslaughter. Their final vote was a soft 9-3 with 9 voting guilty. We heard, I want to say it was juror A who said it was an 8-4 split, but it was a 6-6, and then when they went back, it was an 8-4. So this one says it was a soft 9-3. So the jury considered being more specific in their notes to the judge, but were not clear on how they were supposed to communicate their unanimous decisions on charges 1 and 3. My biggest question here is this juror that talked to Christina Rex one of the same jurors that we're already familiar with from, is it one A through E, or are we talking about an F? So let me see what you guys are saying. All the other lawyers are lackluster and boring after listening to Ajax. He is really good. Hi, Teresa. Ironic statement. How can she hit him with the car that was proven not to hit her? Some people don't think that was proven. They think that she hit him, and that's it. They just don't think she did it on purpose. Baby Ajax is on a couple of baby Ajax when he was tiny. Wonder if she's going to follow up and interview Paul O'Keefe again and let him know count 1 and 3 was a 12-0. Well, he's probably following on Twitter, and I'm sure he knows everything he knows all the motions that have been filed. So, but Lolly is adamant that it doesn't matter. The Commonwealth is stating it doesn't matter. Nothing was finalized, and we're done. Do we know if the juror Rex talked to was one of the alphabet letters from the defense filing or a new one? That's my question too. That's what I would like to know. Is if it's a new one that hasn't talked to them. I wish she would have said this juror has contacted, or even if let's say it's juror B or C, because as far as we know in the public, juror B and C have still not actually talked to the attorneys. We had the intermediary and the, then the informant. I don't understand how that's difficult either. Should have been pretty freaking simple. Like, we've come to an agreement on 2 of the 3 charges, and we don't know what to do at this point. Like that, I don't know how that would have been a very simple thing to write. We've agreed to 2 out of 3. You told us we had to stay here until we agreed on all 3, but we don't know how to do that with the 3rd one, and so we don't know what to do. We need some guidance. I think it's ridiculous. Joanna, I think you just volunteered yourself. Right. They need somebody. When we went through Paul's interview too, they need somebody to blame, and this is she's a good person to blame. And I think that's just kind of where they're at. Hi, Sarah. It could have been anybody. Anybody could have. I mean, the 4-person could send the note, but it could have been anybody who was like, "All right, well, we need to figure out how to tell this judge this is what we know." That's what I said, Jess. I said the same thing. I was like, why? We agree, we vote, this is unanimous, check the box, put that paper to the side. So at the end of the day, we'd have 2 that are done and 1 that isn't. And somebody would know that this is what we came to, right? So interesting, but I do think that I'm curious on if this juror is A through. Actually, I'm more curious if it'd be a 3-part question. A, D, or E, or just B? Is it one of B and C, or is it an F through whatever? Like, I don't even know if I don't think she'd even understand that question. Right. She really does, but like she said, she's like, Mr. Yannetti, like, this is how they have all been. And he's like, no, I've never seen this. And she's like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. She kind of did. That's kind of what she said was like, let us know when you've reached an agreement. And I have to go back and tell you the exact words, but Joanna transcribed the entire thing. But it was essentially like, let us know when you've reached a verdict on all counts. Like, go back and deliberate until you've reached a verdict on all counts. And then that was it. They could have even argued they weren't supposed to touch the forms until they had all three. I think the judge should have asked right then and there, do you have agreements on any charge, yes or no? She should have. And I still ultimately blame her because she's the one in control. She's the boss of the courtroom. She's the boss of the whole thing. And it was her responsibility to make sure that she knew what was happening and not just to interpret the notes however she wanted to interpret them. And I don't disagree with her interpretation. I said this too, like, when everybody walked out of that courtroom on the final day, I think everybody was under the same impression when they were saying that they couldn't reach an agreement on the charges, that they couldn't reach an agreement on any of the charges. So, all right, let me see if there was something else in here. That's Nettie. That's that case. I want to make sure before we go to Benefield, anything else that we need to talk about Karen Reed. I know that Turtle Boy was out front and he has a restraining order or a no contact order on somebody that was there. And so there was some drama with that. So I was trying to understand it, but I don't know all those players. So it was kind of hard to understand. Apparently, he was told to leave when he was there first, when that person or another person had a no contact on him. And then when he approached the cops today, they said that she was there first, so he had to leave. And so, like, even though he was there first, when it was opposite, he had to leave. And then when he was there second, and now it's the other way, he still had to leave. I was like, this is just silly. And close these screens with all these stupid rubber ducks all over them. I think everyone was like, what just happened? I think she was just done. She was just like, I don't care anymore. It's over. Like, it's a mistrial. We'll just do it again, and I'll sit here and swirl in my chair. She's probably happy that she gets to see Wolf again. He and Lauren have an RO against KP. Ellie told them both they had to walk away. Yeah, but when it was the opposite way, he was told he had to leave, and he was the first one there. And like, this is, people may not understand it or like it, but that is his job. I mean, this is kind of maybe not being at that courthouse at that particular time, but it is more of how he earns an income, and she's just there. Yes, they both have the right to be there, but I still think that there's something to that. But that's, like I said, that's the side drama of the case, and I don't want to get too deep into it because then I end up living there, and I don't want to. Yeah, I just I don't know enough of the history to say, like, okay, I think this person is right, this person is wrong. So it's another reason I try not to get too far into it. Also, Matt McCabe's bro, I think, made an inappropriate comment in a message to TV alluding to having a connection with connection to Bev. Yes, that's actually where Auntie Bev comes from. I do know that story where they have a house on the Cape or whatever. I don't know exactly where it is because I'm not from there, so I don't know all the areas, but they have houses, like vacation houses that are close to each other, apparently. And so he like wrote to somebody and called her Auntie Bev. And the reason I know that is because it actually came up in a pretrial hearing where they were trying to have her recuse herself for being too close to the case because of the messages from Matt McCabe's brother, Sean McCabe. I'm just catching up on you guys. Okay. So I think that's pretty much. Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah. So it's that they argue it in the pretrial hearing. That's like I said. That's one of the reasons I actually know it, because that screenshot comes up of that somebody involved in the case's relative is calling her Auntie Bev. And then they also asked for her to recuse because her brother was the attorney Is there, okay, no, and this one I might get wrong. Her brother was the attorney for Chris Albert back in like the 90s. I think it's her brother. So she had some ties to people in the case. No, I did not see her. I don't think she was there, was she? Let's go back and look. I don't think she was there. Let's get rid of that one. Let's see when they show Bev. Ah, she might be off camera over here. No, I don't see her. There's Karen. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see her. Okay. So that'll wrap up Karen Reed. And then let's talk about Ashley Benefield. So I kind of talked about it a little bit ago. And like I said, if you guys aren't familiar with the case, we did the 4-hour episode, breaks everything down on anything you need to know about the case. Kraken asks, can Proctor be forced to testify again if he gets fired? Yes, absolutely. They can still have him testify. They just subpoena him if the Commonwealth wants him, and if the defense wants him, they can subpoena him as well and even make him a hostile witness. But he absolutely can testify. And so the Commonwealth is going to run into the exact same issue that it did before, and probably even worse now that he's, his hearing was supposed to be last week, I think. Did we ever hear an update? Maybe it's this week. It might be this week. The next hearing on the final of what's going to happen, or did I miss it? Does anybody know? The final one, the one that they were going to determine if he was actually terminated. I'm not sure. Hey, DB. My tiny human, what's that? I don't have anything for you, honey. I'm busy. You can have an otter pop. Oh, I can't help you with that right now.
How much is the milk?
How much is it?
Yeah.
Not much, but I think it's very heavy. I don't know if you can grab that one or not. You can just wait. Your dad will be back very soon, and we're gonna cook dinner in a little bit. Kid freaking eat me out of house and home. Oh God, I hope not, but they probably will. They probably won't have a choice. They probably won't have a choice. That's their expert. I don't know if they may take the opportunity to find somebody else now that they know what the defense is going to be asking. So they're going to have to switch up the strategy a little bit. They can't really change their theory, but they can kind of change up the strategy of how they execute the testimony of each individual. Hey, grateful middle-aged cat mama. Okay. All right, so let's do the switcheroo. So they had a hearing this morning before they started jury selection, and just fair warn you guys again, the audio in this courtroom is not always the best audio. It's a struggle. So, but it's also interesting talking about the two cases together because you have two women. One was married to their victim. The other one was a longtime girlfriend of their victim. Both are charged with second-degree murder, and both are out on bail. So they actually have some similarities there. Give me 1 second, you guys. Actually, I'll just start playing it and then give me a second.
Motion for continuance. I'm not aware of any additional motions that we filed. And I have an oral tennis motion that I'm going to
see if I turn it up here, if I can make it any better.
All right, I have your motion to continue.
I think we've articulated it well in the motion, Your Honor. I don't see any reason to go into the specifics any deeper than we delineated in our motion and legal argument. In a nutshell, though, given the recent rulings by the court, especially as it relates to the deprivation of Mr. O'Keefe at counsel table, and what I understand is now an issue about even having his
Okay, so just anybody who isn't overly familiar, this is the defense attorney, Neil Taylor, who is on Friday filed a motion for an emergency continuance. Jury selection was set to start today. It did end up starting, but one of the reasons he wanted the trial to be delayed was because his paralegal, which his name is Jack O'Keefe, is not allowed to sit at the table with him, and he needs him to help with parts of like the technology presentations, and just to help him because he's older and he's by himself. So that's one of the reasons he wants this continuance, because he wants to file an appeal on having Jack O'Keefe sit at the table with him.
laptop connected to an HD.
The second issue he has is that he has requested for an HDMI cable for it to be extended to wherever Jack O'Keefe will be sitting. And the prosecutor, O'Donnell, had said that it was a safety issue and she was not okay with it, so she was going to be opposing that. And so he's now arguing that now I'm hearing that that Jack's not even going to be able to have an HDMI cable. And
HDMI cable, apparently court services will not allow that because it extends beyond counsel table and they've deemed it a tripping hazard. We have a lot of our democracy.
terrible audio. He's not allowed to sit at the table because he said he's a paralegal, so there's no legal right for him to sit at the table. That's kind of what the judge's statement is. He talks about it too in this hearing. Come on. Get the audio back. Yes, we're going to have another tiny desk man. Yeah, they talk about like giving him a tray table, essentially. Like he's even going to have a tinier space than, and he's a big dude. This is him right here. He's not a tiny dude. You're fine. You can ask all the questions you want to. Just don't ask me to fix the audio because I can't do that.
Court services to extend the cable, but apparently not. So, yes.
There was no matter pending before me. There was a bunch of emails going back and forth, but I don't rule on emails, sir.
Judge, it's just so we're clear, it's my position. This is not an issue that should be dignified by a formal motion. Connecting my assistant's laptop to assist me in defending Ms. Benefield and requiring a formal motion for something so perfunctory is an indication of just how difficult the court has sought to make this for the defense from day one. That's my position, Your Honor, respectfully.
So
the judge is like, there's no motion for any of this. Like I was just essentially CC'd on some emails, and I can't just make like rulings on emails that you want HDMI stuff. Like that's just not how it works.
I haven't even been mentioned other than the fact my judicial assistant was copied on some emails going back and forth about this issue. Did you just expect me to jump in?
Yes, in fact, I did.
Okay,
Your
well,
Honor.
that would be inappropriate. So tell me where you want to run the cable from and what the problem is.
We need the laptop connected. As the court well knows, Mr. O'Keefe has not been permitted to sit at counsel table, so the cable needs to extend to this back bench for Mr. O'Keefe, and court services.
To where?
Where?
To your table?
To the back bench. It needs to go past our table.
And the audio cuts out again. So don't put the phone or your audio too close to your ear, because when it comes back, it's kind of loud. So he just wants, so if if O'Keefe is sitting right here, he just wants a little table right here and the HDMI cable to run. Because this is why I think the whole thing was kind of silly to begin with. Like, why not just let the dude sit at the table? He's really, I mean, he's right there. He's right there. He just, and so his argument when they were doing the pretrial hearing was, you know, so every time I need something, I have to turn around and like ask him. And the judge is like, yeah, it's kind of like normal. It's what we normally do. So I don't even know how this trial is going to go with audio, because it's just going to pop. It's just.
Based on the case law and the rules, is the unlicensed practice of law.
You think that's what he said? Hold on, I'll go back just a second.
If they are going, if based on the case law and the rules, is the
Past our table.
Past our table.
Services.
To where?
Where court well knows Mr. O'Keefe has not been permitted to sit at counsel table, so the cable needs to extend to this back bench for Mr. O'Keefe, and court services.
To where?
Where?
To your table?
To the back bench. It needs to go past our table.
I don't hear it. I don't hear it. Okay, so let me go forward where we listen to nothingness. No, Rieger. He did it wrong. It's Riegert's, isn't it?
based on the case law and the rules, is the unlicensed practice of law. If they are going, if Mr. Taylor is talking about just having him turn it on, then that's a different story. But in the email, it was not clear. And so all I did, I
Hold on. She gets kind of snarky. They're all very snarky, so it's going to be a very interesting trial if we can actually keep the audio.
going, if
You had to go watch Tom Webster's.
based on the case law and the rules, is the unlicensed practice of law. If they are going, if Mr. Taylor is talking about just having him turn it on, then that's a different story. But in the email, it was not clear. And so all I did, I emailed your JA to say, hey, can we talk about it Monday? So if it's just to hit the button because Mr. Taylor is incapable, then I would not have an objection.
Okay.
Thank you.
If it's just to hit the button because Mr. Taylor is incapable, then I don't have an objection. This is not O'Donnell. O'Donnell's right next to her, by the way. This is the other one. And now I can't think of her name off the top of my head.
Just run the cable. We'll get duct tape. In fact,
Yeah, and as the court knows, Mr. O'Keefe has never practiced law in Your Honor's court, so I don't quite understand the state's position, but he's going to hit the button.
all right. The great motion of the cable is resolved,
Thank you.
and we can move on to the.
She looks like she's got some bags under her eyes here. She's not looking as ready to go as I would think that she would. She looks like she's not getting as much sleep as she should be. So, and she has like a little bit of a smirk. Maybe she's got a resting bitch face too.
Deprived of that assistance. So we would have to go back through a lot of our exhibits, and as I've articulated in our motion, the reasons why we think continuance is appropriate. That's our emergency motion to continue.
Thank you. State.
Judge, we object, and we find that there's no valid reason for a continuance.
All right. The question I have is, late last week, I don't know if it was Thursday or Friday, I received a motion. I don't know if I have it in my pile. Under 90.702 Daubert for the defendant's expert. And I don't remember his name, but it was referenced last week. So,
Ferris. Yes, sir.
all right. Typically that would be heard prior to trial.
Okay, so I didn't go too far into this yesterday because it's kind of complicated, but the defense wants to offer this person, last name's Harris, I believe, as a like a spousal abuse expert. And there was a whole argument about having this Daubert hearing on whether this person could even be there or not there. And so they're going to start talking about that. So we'd have to go back and watch that hearing if you guys were interested in it. But essentially, it's another reason that the defense asked for this continuance, because they feel that the judge not letting this domestic, it's a spousal abuse beaten, what is it called? Why can I not think of what they called the expert? Maybe they'll say it.
Sufficient time for both sides to have a ruling and be prepared.
I understand, Judge, and that was a response really to what happened on Tuesday, because we thought we had handled it the appropriate way, and evidently we had not, and so I was trying to correct it. I did put in the motion that I understand it's normally a pretrial motion, but in order to not have Mr. Ferris have to come here and try to handle it this morning when we're trying to pick a jury, we have no objection to just having it basically Thursday, whatever morning he would be here, because the state has objections to his testimony on many grounds, and we have a fear that it's going to be a situation where we're objecting, which is going to be awful for the jury and for the court. It's going to delay things. So that was our hopes, that we could have some kind of hearing when Your Honors thinks it's appropriate to discuss whether or not his expertise as a domestic violence expert qualifies him to testify during this trial.
All right.
And, I'm sorry. Sorry, Judge. I left out. Our other thought was some of it depends on what comes out during trial. And so it's kind of hard to handle it pre-trial. As we discussed last week, some of the other things are very difficult, and which is the other reason we thought it might be more appropriately heard right before he was going to testify.
All right.
Thank you, Judge.
The procedural hurdle.
So they want to do the Daubert hearing whenever he's going to testify. They essentially just want to do it during the trial to see like what this person's going to be testifying to and what they're going to object to him testifying to. The defense is saying, well, the judge isn't going to allow them to testify at all. And that's the defense counsel takes it a little bit more extreme than it even is, as you see with the HDMI thing. Like, he's like, I'm not filing a motion, and he's like, well, you didn't email me about it. Like, you emailed my assistant. Like, you want me just to get involved and tell you can have an HDMI cable? And the attorney's like, yes, that's what I want. So they're just saying, like, no, we just want to we want to have this little mini hearing inside the trial so that we can figure out what he's going to talk about. And it's bad. I could not think of it, but he's an expert on battered spouse syndrome.
That raises is going to be if I deny the state's Daubert challenge, or whatever the ruling may be, but it's against the state, you certainly have the right to appeal. And I think the problem would be if we're in the middle of trial and it's late this week or sometime early next week, the difficulties that could raise.
We understand, Judge. I think we're past that point of, we're at the point of, we're ready for this trial to go and to get it through. So,
okay.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir. Any final thoughts?
So his comment is, hey, you know what, you guys, if you wanted to do this Daubert hearing, you should have filed it prior. And so if you really want to have this, like, we should have more time to prepare for that. And then let me know, and I'll give the continuance, essentially. And she's like, no, like, it's not that important. We want to get the trial going.
Well, as I raised earlier, not only did the court issue a cutoff date for motions, but both sides signed off on that cutoff date, and that cutoff date is long past. So this request for a Daubert hearing is beyond tardy, and I think the court should deny it. It's as simple as that.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I think both parties were filing motions and asking for hearing time well past the cutoff. All right, in considering the motion to continue. We start with the, although not sure all of these factors or elements were argued by both sides. Whether the denial of the continuance creates an injustice for the movement, whether the cause for the request was unforeseeable, whether the cause for the request was dilatory practices, and whether the opposing party would suffer any prejudice, injustice, or convenience. Looking at the Fleming factors, I don't need to make a great deal of factual findings, but the main thrust, as I'm understanding it, from the motion and the argument today is the issue of Mr. O'Keefe sitting at council table. I think I've made sufficient allowances for him to be near and present, but not at council table. I don't find that there's an injustice. Unforeseeable or unforeseeability. Certainly, I don't think this is an unforeseeable ruling based upon the scant case law that's available and the fact it's a matter of discretion for the trial court. I think certainly both sides have noticed and can expect as experienced attorneys that sometimes the courts rule favorably to you and sometimes they rule against your position. And if there's issues that need to be brought up before the court well in advance of trial, they should be. But when issues are brought before me by motion, I rule on them, and I have not been dilatory in my rulings. And as opposed to the other side, certainly this case has been pending since around September of 2020. It's now July of 2024. I think the state has every right to and is ready to go to trial. I think both sides are and should be ready at this point. There's been more than sufficient time.
I don't think she wants to go to trial. I think that she, right now, even though she's out on bail, she's still living life and able to. There's nothing against that. I don't mean that obviously she doesn't want to go to trial, but I think that she's like, as long as I can maintain even with what I have right now with the ankle monitor and the judge allowing me to do different things, go to a wedding in Maryland and go take my daughter to Disney World and those types of things. I think she prefers that than the alternative because, in my opinion, I think that she has a good chance of being found guilty.
For preparation. Again, the incident complained of and the information happened in September of 2020. I don't find that there's any prejudice from the rulings that I've made regarding Mr. O'Keefe and where he's sitting. So in addressing the Fleming factors and the McKay factors, based on the Uptain factors, I will deny the motion to continue. All right, was that all of your motions? Or was
No,
there?
I have two left, Your Honor. The first one is pretty small and simple. I wonder if the court would have any objection if we bring in to assist with the mechanics of this trial, a very small portable table so that Mr. O'Keefe can have something to put his laptop on. We can put it back there.
How big of a table?
Like a little tray table, Your Honor.
Like a dinner table or a TV tray?
Yeah, the equivalent of like a TV tray.
If it's the size of a TV tray, I think that'll be fine because it'll just sit right in front of him and that shouldn't block ingress or egress from that side.
Very good. Thank you, Judge. My last motion, if I...
Yeah, he has a motion. So he doesn't think that he should file a motion for an HDMI cable, but he does file a motion to get a TV tray. So then the next one is good. The next one is interesting, and you can tell that even the attorney's a little uncomfortable with having to say this.
I make,
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, this is a motion for the court to voluntarily disqualify itself. And if the court would be kind enough to allow me to make my record, I'd appreciate it. This is an appeal to the court's sense of honor, integrity, and to the oath that the court took when sworn into the office that it now holds to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, specifically the Sixth Amendment right to a fair trial, and the Florida Constitution's Due Process Clause in Article 1, Section 9 of the Florida Constitution. The court's order of September 18, 2023, denying Ms. Benefield's request for judicial immunity, on page 26 in the third paragraph, Your Honor, reads as follows. Considering the totality of the competent and substantial evidence admitted during the stand your ground hearing, the state has proven by clear and convincing evidence that the victim's homicide was not a singular act of necessary self-defense, but was instead the culmination of a lengthy, concerted effort by the defendant to eliminate the victim from her life and the life of their child. When the defendant's efforts to enlist the assistance of law enforcement, child protective services, and the judicial system failed, she took matters into her own hands, as she told Dr. Broder she would. Now, had the court issued a neutral order that would have or should have read that the state has met its burden by clear and convincing evidence for purposes of the request for judicial immunity and the defendant's motion is denied, it would have gone on and said whether the shooting was justified is a question of fact to be properly submitted to a jury at the trial of this matter. How can Ms. Benefield possibly receive a fair trial with the conclusion that the court reached in that order? Make no mistake, that order says Ms. Benefield is guilty of the crime with which she is charged. Ironically, we're here this morning to select jurors.
I'm going to pause it real quick. So I want to talk about this conversation in chat real quick. So Truth Matters asks, like, do I think she's guilty? And obviously typing in chat, like my simple answer is I do. I think it's more complicated. I think that there is a history, and this is an extremely toxic relationship that these two were involved in. But for the circumstances surrounding the events on September 27th, and if I am looking at them, and this is going to be the tough part, I think, as a juror, is he wants to essentially argue that she's taking into that Ashley Benefield is taking into consideration the years of what she deems to be battered spouse. She only lived with him for approximately 7 months of their entire relationship. Let me see. I would go 9 months. I'll go 9 months at max, because she moves in with him in December of 2016 and then moves out in August of 2017 after she gets pregnant and then says she is sick, and then she moves back down to Florida. So yes, they were married for, so I mean, he dies in 2020. They got married in 2016 for about 4 years, but they weren't living together in this circumstance. And she can, so, and I think that we're going to see more of this coming out as the trial happens, but there's a lot where she is working to convince him that she wants to be in this relationship. Now, does that mean that that it wasn't toxic? No, it doesn't. But does it mean that I believe she can use this, accumulation of 4 years of battered spouse? I struggle with that. They didn't live in the same state the majority of the time. And when they did live in the same state, he traveled. So she had said that he was poisoning her. She'd called CPS on him and his older daughter. She got CPS involved and accused him of physically and sexually abusing their toddler daughter. she made statements to, and I don't know if it's a psychiatrist or psychologist. I think it might be a psychologist that they have to go and see to have their psychological exams done. The things she tells him are very different than the things that she even tells the court. I struggle with a lot of that. I don't think that she is as honest of a person. And so I hate to take away like anybody who's been through something that is traumatic, but I think that she had attorneys for family court. She was in front of a judge for family court multiple times. The sheriff's department asked for the psychological evaluation on her to be done because she continued to come in and make claims that were completely unfounded. And I got struggles with CPS in our country as it is, so I don't want to go too far into that yet, but let me go back to, so the events going into September 27th, they're moving together. And her attorney will say, like, oh, not this attorney, but her family court attorney will say, well, she had a plan to like get away from him and, had rented a car under a different name. And I'm at the point where I almost think there's a mental illness with the fact that she thinks that these things are happening to her when they may not be happening to her, where she's like, so I said, you got to watch the deep dive, because she goes into the hospital. She hasn't lived with the man for many months at the time, goes into the hospital and says, I think that my baby is, that me and my baby have been poisoned. The doctors do an emergency C-section on a healthy person with a healthy baby 3 weeks early. And yes, I know full term is 36. They're fine, that the baby can survive absolutely fine. And then she takes, and puts her and the baby in a hyperbaric chamber. I almost think that there's something not normal about this. Like, I don't mean to laugh at that, but it's just like, I don't know how to explain it, and I'm hoping that with the trial it will be easier, but my gut instinct going into this is that on September 27th, her and her mother had a plan. They intentionally wanted to rid themselves of having this man in their lives. She had made multiple statements to multiple people that she wanted to be a single mom and raise her child with her mother. So she's being abused, pays for him to have a vasectomy so that she can get pregnant with his child, gets pregnant with his child, and then leaves and goes back to live with their mother. I think I assume we're going to hear testimony about the research that she was doing on him during this 13-day dating period, where she was researching everything about his life. I'm not in the fact that I don't think that he had toxic traits. I think so. I think that there's relationships, and in doing true crime now for as long as I have been, we see certain situations happen. And not to go back to freaking Chris Watts, but if he hadn't met Nicole Kessinger, would the family have died? And so does that mean Nicole Kessinger took part in it? Some people think she did, some people don't. But that the relationship creates a toxic energy. Let's talk about like Lori and Chad Daybell. If you talk to people who knew them throughout their lives and family members of Lori, there's something that changes in them as they get into these relationships, that like it feeds the fuel of the other person. And I almost kind of feel like this is kind of where we're at. And like we read through her 4-page letter that she left him, and her complaints were that he didn't fix the AC in time and that she didn't want to drink tap water. It almost like a form of Munchausen. Yeah, it's something like that. There's something off. Sorry, I wasn't reading any of your guys' comments. Let me go back and see. You can see how fake she is by the fact that she showed up to court dressed as a Mennonite. Yeah, yes. She's definitely dressing a part. One lie can tarnish 100 truths, and that is the fact the jury will chew on. And I think she believes her lies, which has become a delusion. That is what I think. I do believe they intentionally had him come to the house that night. Her mom takes the daughter, the toddler, to the park at 6 o'clock at night. And it's not like I've never taken my kid to the park at 6 o'clock at night. So don't get me wrong. But if you're looking at this circumstance in its totality, the house is essentially already emptied. And there's only a few boxes left to be put into this U-Haul. But yet they find 3 loaded guns. Well, 2 additional guns, because one is at the neighbor's house at that point. 2 additional loaded guns in common areas. I think one's like on the kitchen pantry shelf. Like ready to, your house is empty. Why do you have 2 loaded guns still just hanging out in these specific spots? Now, if I look at just that situation, I go, okay, well, maybe they still had to stay another night there. So they wanted to make sure they were protected because somebody could come in. But when you look at the whole thing together, she's asking him to come over. She's wanting him to be there. She's telling him they're making this move to Maryland together. And he's essentially saying, like, I'm not going to commit to like living with you and, he's already filed for divorce. I'm not going to take away the filing for divorce until I get these psychological evaluations that the judge from the family court is releasing this week. And so he's like, we'll go up there. He got a job up there, but he wasn't committed to everything being 100% back to normal until he got the psychological evaluations. She fought, and her attorney fought tooth and nail to make sure that they did not release these psychological evaluations, but she knew that the judge in the family court case was not fond of her. As the judge said, that she was not a credible person, that there was no evidence to support her, not just no evidence. She said, there's not a scintilla of evidence to support what this woman is saying, essentially, that she's lying, and she's continuously lying in order to keep the daughter from her dad. And then as soon as the judge orders, he gets visitation, he's allowed to see the kid. She's like, okay, we're getting back together. Like, oh, let's go. We're fine. We're going to get back together. But yet she's dating somebody else. She gets engaged to another person. So I don't know. Joanna says, have you seen the text his ex-wife sent him? I have seen the alleged messages that are supposedly from his ex-wife. Yes, those are not technically in evidence. Those are coming from the, he reads one of them in one of the pretrial hearings, or I think one I was actually showing yesterday, but I don't think I ended up letting it play that long. It's very, very deep. And that's why I said people don't know about it, and it's because it's not uber popular. But there's so much in this case for years. You think they met in 2016, he died in 2020, and then we're now going to trial in 2024. So there's a lot to it, and I think it's just not publicized, so people aren't overly interested, like a Karen Reed. Like, there's nobody that's like saying, like, hey, pay attention to this. So once again, and I'm open to changing my mind. If during this trial something happens that I'm like, oh fuck no, like I would have shot him too, then I will absolutely change my mind. But as of right now, I think that it was intentional. I am surprised that they did not charge her with first-degree intentional homicide. I think that he was lured there, and I think that it was a plan to eliminate him, and they had no choice because they knew they were leaving the next day, and that he was going to get a hold of those psychological evaluations, and that she may end up actually losing her daughter after the fact. So that's where I'm at with it. Like I said, I will absolutely change my mind if something comes out. You guys will be the first to know. I'll be like, that's it. That was it for me. That was my game changer. But you want my initial thoughts? That's my initial thoughts. Okay, so let's go back. So he's asking the judge to recuse himself. And this is simply for the record. The judge isn't going anywhere.
And the court is going to instruct them that they are to presume Miss Benefield innocent of the charges against her. How in the world can we expect that of the jury when the court cannot extend that presumption and honor it based upon what the court's words, not ours, what the court wrote in its order? That conclusion specifically, Judge White, help explain why at this stage the court has, among other things, quashed defense witness subpoenas and told the defense they can prove it some other way, when it's our case and our right to a fair trial, and we decide the best manner in which to present our case within the rules of evidence and criminal procedure, why Your Honor has denied Jack O'Keefe from assisting me in the trial of this case, and why the court at the last hearing that we had on its own suggested to the court that perhaps the right action on behalf of the court would be to file, on behalf of the state, would be to file a Daubert challenge. The record of that hearing will specifically note that the defense requested a Daubert challenge in response to the state's motion. The state never did. The court suggested that to the state at that hearing, and lo and behold, the very next day, the state filed a motion requesting a Daubert challenge. As the court knows, according to Florida Statute 3810, you can move to recuse the court based upon demonstrated bias or prejudice. Rule 2.330 of the Florida Rules of General Practice in Judicial Administration likewise provides for the disqualification of the trial judge. Now, here's the problem. There's a time limitation. It's imposed in the Rules of Judicial Administration and the case law. And frankly, I missed it. And I missed it because at the time the court entered its order on September 18th, 2023, it was quite some time following the stand your ground hearing. And we were not only focused on filing the appeal, but by the time the appellate court acted and the second DCA denied our motion, I had just missed it. And I take responsibility for that. That, therefore, is why I asked the court, based on its order, to voluntarily take the high road and step aside voluntarily, and give, in doing so, objective recognition to the oath Your Honor took to support and defend our constitutions, which includes, as the court knows, an opportunity for a fair trial by an accused, by an impartial jurist. So I asked the court to do the right thing. There's no getting around what the court wrote in that order.
Would you like to be heard?
Judge, I would just like to say that at a stand your ground hearing, the court is the trier of fact. And the court does need to make factual findings. And the fact that that is being held against the court, I think, is quite unfair. The court is not the trier of fact in a jury trial. The jury is. There has been nothing in the court's rulings to show any animus towards this defendant. I quite frankly think this is the defendant's MO. This is what she does. When someone doesn't agree with her or a judge does not agree with her, she does a motion to recuse. I feel like this should have been done a year ago if it was going to be done. It was only done at this late time because of the court's rulings did not go in the defense's favor, and this is their last-ditch effort. The state would also say, if the court was inclined to grant this, that we just flip-flop judges right now and start this trial this morning. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any final thoughts on your motion?
I'm sorry, Your Honor?
Any final thoughts on your motion?
No, sir.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so the jury questionnaires, we don't have them yet?
He just moves on. Like I said, that whole part right there was literally just for the record that he asked him to recuse. He's not going anywhere. But the prosecutor, she's like, that's fine. So even if you choose to step away, if that's what you choose to do, I want another judge here right now, and I am not letting them off the hook because they keep trying to push the dang trial. It's been 4 years. Like, we want this done. We don't want to do this anymore, and let's go. So even if you're going to walk away, bring me a new judge right now that can handle this.
70 jurors. All right, so they're going to be sending up the questionnaires. We're going to get them about 10, 15 minutes, I would think, according to the clerk.
Correct, Terry.
And we are going to have the panel of 70. So for those of you who are here in the courtroom, the veneer panel that we're going to bring up is going to take both sides of the courtroom. So what I've done is I've asked court administration to open up another courtroom that will have audio or video so you can listen in and it'll be made available.
That's Tommy right here. This is Doug's cousin, and then this is Dave. This is Doug's brother. Yeah, the ladies are the prosecution. So the one that just spoke, that's Suzanne O'Donnell. And I don't know why the other lady's name, I'm drawing a blank on it right now. Hey, Duck and Felonies.
And that's courtroom 5A. 5A. So 5th floor, courtroom A. In fact, it's basically just right down below where we are right now. And that'll be open for the jury selection process. So at this point, I guess we'll take a break, and there's not much to talk about until we get the questionnaires. Remember, I'm going to make the initial statements to the jurors, welcoming them, giving them some background information. We're going to get through the charges, the parties. Oh, the witness lists. If you haven't done it already, I need the witness lists of witnesses you expect to call. So when I'm introducing everybody, the parties, the folks in the courtroom, so the jurors, potential jurors have an understanding, I need your witness list so I can go through that. We'll then cover the substantive portions of what I'm going to cover for the jury selection are really just going to be hardships and knowledge about the case. And for those folks who don't express any pre-existing knowledge about the case or the facts, I'm going to then let them go to lunch, be an early lunch, ask them to be back downstairs probably around 1:15. This is the plan. We know about the best laid plans.
So he doesn't, I wanted more. I was like, okay, when are we actually talking about having opening statements so that I can be prepared for that? But I didn't get that. So if anybody that is watching this and not watching it here, but anybody who watched it on your own or anything like that, or was watching it somewhere else, let me know if you guys heard anything about it, because I don't know what his plan was. So he's talking about that they had the 70 jury pool that was there, and they're going to do that. They're going to go through that. They're going to let him go to lunch, and then I don't know. So, but I know that the Law and Crime Trials channel is playing it, and so I figured if there was anything, I kept an eye on it all day and just found nothing. But I got no update either on whether they're actually going to do opening statements in the morning. Like, do they actually have a jury? I don't know. I'll check again before we hop off of here. But I do want to show you guys this. This is something that I didn't put in the presentation yesterday. I mean, it was actually in there, and I didn't click on it. I don't know why I didn't. It was a hyperlink that I had in there. But this is the web page for We Stand with Ashley. So the group of supporters that we talked about there that are outside, that were the purple people. You did see that? Okay. Okay, I'll double check. Hey, Sleuthy Goosey. Did they say that they plan on, Robin, did they, I'll double check on Twitter too, just to see. But did you hear them say whether they planned it in the morning, or if they are still, are they done? Do they have a jury? Like, that's kind of where I'm at. But so this is the webpage for We Stand with Ashley. It's the essentially the people that are out wearing the purple shirts that are picketing or protesting. I don't know what the right word. Yeah, the protesting that she should have, all the charges should have been dropped because she was under stand your ground and she was a domestic violence victim, and that she had every right to do what she did. So they have an entire web page that they have put on here. They go through her story. I'll link it for you guys too, so that you guys can check it out. Can somebody just click that link and let me know if it actually works? So They go through like the timeline. I'll let you guys look through it, you know, too, on your own, so you can go through. But they've got Ashley's story on here, and you know, her history, the whirlwind romance, the messages. I showed you guys these when Doug talks about that he punched the dogs, and it works. Thank you, Duck and Felonies. And the cat. I think I showed you most of these. So this is supposedly a message that was to Ashley. Thank you, Sleuthy. So where he says, like, now I see some douchebag on top of you, fucking you with your legs spread and him choking you out and fucking you more. Right now, I literally want to go kill him or them. And she's like, baby, don't even think that. Like, no one will ever touch me. And he's like, you haven't seen the warrior side and you never want to. And she's like, I am yours. Don't. You are right. I want to see you only as my sweet, loving husband. The pictures of the holes in the walls. I showed you guys those. This is the picture of the gunshot to the ceiling. We talked about that. But this is essentially like, this is kind of like this is her side of the events. So it is a We Stand with Ashley Page. So they go through, they show some of the letters from the court, where the court's saying we're not going to be pressing charges on Doug for these things that you're saying. This is a Celebrite report from Doug's phone where his notes are showing that he's talking about where Ashley's going and what she's doing to prove that he was following her around. We talked about him following her around. Those are some of the photos I showed you guys yesterday where she claims that he was abusing their daughter. This is essentially the stuff about the stand your ground. Those are her photos. Most of the stuff we talked about. And it's like Ashley's legal team quickly flocked to her defense, meeting her there so that, you know, they would know that she was abused. And then this goes into that the state is colluding to set her up and why the state is colluding. So if this is kind of stuff I figure, like some of the motions and some of like this kind of stuff when if we're watching the trial, then we can actually, like during some of the breaks and stuff, we can go through and take a look at some of the side convos of things. Fact versus fiction. So like not according to the state's own experts. So, but you guys are welcome to obviously peruse anything that you want, research stuff, see what you guys think, come to your own conclusions. As you guys know, I am always very open to anybody's opinion on a case. I don't judge people for your opinions on cases. I don't want to be judged for my opinion on a case. The next case we may very well agree, so I don't believe in fighting over our opinion on a case. I like to be able to discuss things and you know, get your guys' point of view. So even if it differs from mine, like I like that. I like having open dialogue and learning and trying to understand other people's perspectives. So this is a case, I know that it's not uber popular, but I'm telling you, it's a very divisive case, and I can't believe that more people aren't actually paying attention to it. I do think that people should. So this is the one that is this is Renee Benefield. So this is one of the text messages that they talk about here. This is Renee Benefield's text to Doug, where she's saying, take pictures and you just leave them on your phone, just like I was deeply disappointed that you distorted the truth about who you really are when I married you. I loved you through finding out you weren't really what you pretended to be. You kicking me so hard on New Year's Eve on our honeymoon because you were having trouble functioning in certain areas. You holding a gun to your head twice in my home. Now, that's also a very repetitive story that Ashley has said that he held the gun to his head and said he was going to kill himself. So did he do that multiple times? Or is this, we don't know. We don't know. We won't know this side of stuff. Obviously, the defense is going to have to come out and say this is the kind of person he was. She did. She had an attorney at her first interview. She would not speak to law enforcement at the scene of the crime. And as soon as they took her downtown, and I was down, I don't even know if it's downtown, but it's just like, that's like a cop thing. Like, I know they take them downtown. And so as soon as they took her to the police department, her attorney was already there. Okay, opening statements tomorrow, 8:45. Thank you. Okay. That's 5:45 my time. I was thinking like I could actually do this whole trial because it's only scheduled for 1 to 2 weeks, and I know this case very well. I followed it for years, and the kids wouldn't they're not back in school yet, so I don't know. But that's 5:45. So let me see. Yeah, us West Coast people are still sleeping. I showed you guys this yesterday. I mean, there's a lot that's in here. I did take their information. I even though, like I said, I have my opinion, I didn't just bypass it. I took the information and I included it in the presentation yesterday, so that I could give you guys a very unbiased presentation for everybody to make their own choice and own thoughts. So, but obviously they go more in depth on her side than I do, because I don't have his side. You know what I mean? But we have depositions from him. We have depositions from her. Come on, I'll bring coffee and bagels, etc. Start it late so we can fast forward through the breaks and the lunch. We can do that. We could do that. How late should we start it? Because that's 5:45. Hi, other Robin. Thank you. Can make a whole website, but Brad and Andy can't say Rick is innocent one time. I know. Yeah, we can do the defluffing. We can defluff it. So there's a couple of videos that this team is pretty active on Twitter and on Instagram. They have a Facebook page as well, but it's not as followed as for whatever reason. Their Instagram and Twitter have more of a following. But let me see if I can find a couple of them. And I think this turns me off of this situation. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to tell you why. And I probably shouldn't have told you my opinion before I show you, but hold on. But this is, okay, don't message me, anybody, if you don't want your messages on the screen. This is the kind of videos that they put together. Hold on. That's how I get in trouble all the time, is like playing people's stuff and it's got music in it and then it takes the whole dang video from me. Okay, so music's not necessary because they type it. So it's like with Doug, without Doug. So the daughter that was when the daughter's in the hyperbaric chamber I was telling you guys about, and they're saying that's with Doug. Doug didn't even know the baby had been born and hadn't been living with them. So this stuff kind of irritates me because I feel like there's a lot of using of the daughter in this situation, and that, you guys know, like that, it pisses me off. It like really makes me mad. So I don't know if my opinion about her guilt becomes biased because I hate this shit so much. I don't know. Like without Doug, it's like, look, we live in this nice house. With Doug, we don't. Look, with Doug, there's a crime scene. Well, no, it was her mother's house, and her mom sold the house on September 10th of 2020. So they were moving. So they're going to say they sold the house and we're going to move to get away from Doug. Maybe that's what they're going to go with. I don't know. So without Doug, look how pretty I am. With Doug, this is my face. Let me see here's another one. I'm going to keep it muted, so if there is anything, here. So look, here's Ashley. This young woman is a mother. She's a daughter. She's a sister. She's our friend. And here she is out with her daughter who's riding a bike. Stop the lies, believe women, stand with victims, end the cycle of abuse. So it almost becomes like if I don't believe her, that I'm okay with domestic violence, and that's bullshit. There was her daughter out there. Let me see if there's a couple of these. So here. When you're going to leave your abuser. That is true. This is a very true statement. This is an extremely true statement. The problem is that he was the one who filed for divorce. He was leaving because she was dating somebody else and telling him that she wanted to be with him. So I fucking hate being people trying to gaslight me. I can't stand it. And that's like, I think it makes me really like upset about this situation because I feel like somebody's trying to gaslight the shit out of me here. And like I said, I'm still open. She can change my mind and make all this true. We'll see. Some don't get away. And then they show people who died from domestic violence or situations like that. Like, look, she's so pretty. And then look, this is what Doug does to her. So another one using the daughter. This is Ashley Benefield. She's a mom. She is patient. She is kind and silly. She is gentle. We love her. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. You would too. You would love her too. Stand with us as we stand for justice. I don't know. I don't like it. So Burning Bed meets Black Swan meets Loggett Savage meets Pirates of the Caribbean. A little bit, yeah. A little bit. So when did she become the woman I saw in the courtroom? Yeah. When did she become the woman that every judge that she was trying to go before and all the officers were like, you're lying and we think that you need help? Mama K says, for those of us who have been through domestic violence, those who use it makes me angry. Right. And it is, like I said, it's tough because there are people who will believe her. And I don't want to take away the right for people to believe her. They have the right to believe her. I can't believe they didn't charge her with that, Patricia. That's, my opinion. I think it was absolutely premeditated. And I think that there's other people involved. So are the phone records out, specifically her data? I think it's strange she didn't say one word on scene and her lawyer was waiting at the PD for it. Right. So who called her lawyer? How did the lawyer even know? And then, so there's 2 911 calls, and when she's at the one neighbor's house, so one neighbor hears the gunshots, calls 911. The other neighbor, she runs to his house with the gun in her hand and says, I shot my husband in self-defense. And I'm paraphrasing it, but when the 911 operator wants to talk to her, she refuses to even talk to the 911 operator. She does not want anything recorded. So something else I'll say, because she pulls up the notes about, like, in that website we were talking about, there's notes in here about how he's tracking her. There's also, that's why I said it just keeps going. There's also audio recordings from her phone where she's talking to another individual about following him when he has their daughter. So she is recording following him around, and in the recordings apparently you hear when they finally reach wherever Doug is, and she thinks that Doug is dating somebody where he's now bringing this person around their daughter, and she's pissed. So like, that's the kind of stuff I'm like, the whole thing is toxic. So yeah, he might be following her around. She's following him around. It's crazy. She's absolutely never been told no. Right. And then you have her ex-husband coming forward saying that, yeah, that she had slapped him and that she needed constant validation. Hey, Patty. Going back to the beginning, we wanted to say hi, criminality. This channel gives me therapeutic distractions. I hope I continue to do that for you, Patty. So, hey, Elizabeth. No, I've been here 9 months. Hold on. Let me see. What did you say? I missed it because I was talking. I do understand the why behind the video. Oh, yeah. I understand the why behind the video. I do. They want people to understand that they're taking, if you think she's guilty, you're taking her away from her daughter. But then if you look at Eva, which is Doug's daughter, it's like she doesn't have anybody. She got both her mom and dad taken away from her when she was like 15 and 19. Right. There's a lot. So, I mean, we're going to have to process it. Not to mention, we also have to, what we can see on the outside is never, or not always, what can and will be presented as evidence in the trial. And people have a hard time like separating the two, because we learn so much outside of a trial, and then we're like, well, why aren't they telling him this? Or we know that, and the jury should know this. But some of it's not actual evidence, just because we hear it or we know it. So then we also have to wait for trial to say, this is what the prosecution actually presented as evidence, and it wasn't enough. Even though we may know things on the outside that we think it is, that, you know, she did it or didn't do it, one or the other. We don't know until we get in there what they're going to actually present as their case. It's a goose, chicken, and a duck. Eva's very credible. I believe Eva's very credible. I think that they needed to get away. They needed to get away from each other, and that was it. So, like I said, I'll put this back in here again so that you guys, like, if you want to peruse it and go see all the things that are in the website, feel free. So I guess, I mean, it's really going to be up to you guys then. Do you guys, a lot of places will probably stream the trial. Obviously, we have Long Crime that's going to stream it. I think Bob and Jay ended up choosing to do Black Swan. I hate to go at the same time that they're going. Anyway, I enjoy watching with them, so that sucks too. And then I'm sure a couple other channels will end up streaming it. Do you guys want to watch the trial here? Because if you do, then I would be happy. We can do it. I think we can make it work. And this is not going to be fun for a lot of people. I was watching Melanie a little earlier on Sunday, I think it was, reading the SYG pleading of the defendant, relating her side. A lot of Melanie Little might be streaming it too. Okay. I don't think Emily Baker is covering this case, even though I think she should. Angry that the media and the court TV has been slanting it. I don't know. I don't think they're slanting it, but that's me. Boodlebug, she's not covering it. I'll come here if you have it. Okay, with all. Hi, Mal. I would love your recap like in Read. So you want to do it that way? I mean, I would absolutely do that too. If you guys want to do like a nightly, you want to watch it, we can like watch it with Jay and Bob or Melanie if you prefer, or Grizzly's covering it too. Do you want to, we could do that. I'm fine either way. I'm going to watch the trial, and I'm happy to do whatever you guys want to do. So we can absolutely do, like, we can watch it somewhere, and then we can come together at night and go over like some of the bigger pieces, like kind of like we did in Karen Reed. I do like the nightly ones too. I like to be able to do that because I get to just kind of talk on the bigger points, and I get to listen to certain things again. Okay. So Grizzly's covering it. I'm surprised Grizzly's covering it. That's interesting. I'm going to have to go watch Melanie Little's from yesterday. I was still prepping for yesterday's live. Okay, let's watch it together tomorrow at least and do the evening. An evening recapper would be. So you want to do like the opening statements together? Or do you want to just do like, we'll watch it together tomorrow at some point? I like us to have time to chew and then discuss it here. Yeah, that's like I can watch certain parts a couple times. Okay, let's do that. I think that might work better just because of time wise. And I know that like I'm gonna like as soon as I get up, I'm gonna watch it. So 1 hour delay live tomorrow. Okay, so let's do that. Let's watch opening statements together tomorrow morning, and then we can come back and do like nightly recaps. And then I can still watch with Bob and Jay. Yeah, I do too. I think we're going to go with that. Watch Stephanie Harlow's from a year ago, deep dive. Okay. I'll watch hers too. Okay, so then that's the plan. We'll come here tomorrow morning and we'll watch opening statements from both sides. And then we'll come back and do nightly recaps after Jay and Bob. Well, if you go wherever you watch it. You watch it with Melanie Little. I'm gonna have to go watch her recap from it. I love Melanie Little. She's like she's one of my favorite attorneys on YouTube. So it'll be interesting because I don't think that we've covered the same case where we're almost on opposite sides of it. So I'm gonna watch. I want to see kind of where she lands with it. Okay, that's the plan then. So I'll see you guys in the morning. We'll do opening statements, and then we'll do nightly recaps. Chris has like 4 hours of trial prep. Okay. Well, I have 4 hours of trial prep. I'm good. I'm good on that front. I don't want to watch more trial prep. A majority of her viewers side with the defense. Oh, see? That'll be interesting. It'll be interesting, like I said, like I don't think we've ever covered the same trial and been on opposite sides. So, but you guys know, like I could care less people's opinions on a case. I like the insight and the learning aspect of it. So, okay, so that's the plan. Travis says he will answer any legal questions which have the statutes on the SYG, which is the stand your ground in Florida, and we'll try and find the jury charges on self-defense. Ooh, perfect. Melanie Little's viewers are siding with the defense. That's kind of what Travis was saying too. Perfect. We've got a plan. That's what we'll do. All right, you guys go enjoy the rest of your Monday. I'm going to go and make some pasta, and I will see you guys back here super duper early. I had to set an alarm. No binge watching anything for me tonight. So go enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys back here in the morning for Black Swan, Ashley Benefield's opening statements. And thank you guys for being here. Like as always, I know you guys have 1,000 other places that you can spend your time, but you choose to spend your time with me. And I cannot thank you enough for that. I honestly cannot. That's what I would just be, you know, as Bob says, he'd be an old man, but I would just be some lady talking to myself all the time. And nobody wants that, or I'll end up on trial for something. Who knows? So go have a good night. I'll see you guys in the morning.
Do you dare to follow me down? Head into the unknown. Down the rabbit hole. Where it stops, no one knows. We're going down. We're going head into the unknown.